Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Today we've got something that's pretty damn exciting. There's a lot that points towards Kul'tiran humans being an allied race in battle for Azeroth, especially because they just had a Druid form be added to the alpha build. Now Blizzard putting the work into making a full bear form, that's a bit nonsensical if they're not actually going to be playable. So this does to me make it look like Kul'tiran humans will be an allied race at some point. Now this is the first time that we've seen new human models in the game's history, so with the allied race system existing, it's pretty clear why I think people would want to play a Kul'tiran human. So today you're going to be getting a pretty good idea of what that would look and feel like. So while many of the humans found in Kul'tirans do resemble the ones that we have today, there is a group of larger, more hardy looking ones who in the game files are referred to as Kul'tirans. Now them being a part of a allied race system does make a lot of sense. BlizzCon had 6 allied races, but we already know that Mag'har Orcs joined the Horde as a 7th one, so there's already therefore an imbalance between the two factions, and narratively the Kul'tirans would be joining us for the same reason as the Zandalari trolls. So the Zandalari are not available when BFA launches, instead we earn their trust in the questing and then unlock them as an allied race later on. This would map pretty much perfectly onto what will happen with the Kul'tirans in terms of their story, which makes it all fit rather well in my head. One final very interesting point then is the Kul'tiran Druids, which to me are pretty much the soft confirmation of this actually being a thing. But that said, you do need to bear in mind that nothing has been announced yet. But let's get on to the models. So both male and female Kul'tirans are pretty damn tall and burly. They currently don't have a lot in the way of customization options, but that's to be expected given how early days it is with these guys. But when you look at their animations, you definitely see the result of them having big burly physiques, and they're pretty much walking tanks. The male one more so than the female one, and if I was to give Blizzard some critical feedback here, well, the male model looks like he's 50 years old, he's had a hard life at sea, he's burly, strong, his visuals kind of tell a story just looking at him with the scars and all of that. But with the female model, well, she looks about 20 years younger. There's none of that rugged texture to her. It feels like the women are kind of getting the short end of the stick here as I think the male and female Kul'tiran models, they look like they come from two totally different walks of life, with the female one being far less interesting, so I definitely think Blizzard should take a second look at the look and feel of her. Still, I do love how the current customization options look for them, and broadly I think the idea of playing a very different looking and feeling human, that's definitely something that's quite appealing. When you get into the lore then of World of Warcraft, it does have the humans being more interesting than humans in most fantasy games, but at least visually, I think it's fair to say that the Kul'tirans are another level of uniqueness, maybe a little bit more niche, but I think it'll go down quite well. Then when we look at their animations, it's very clear that they're the perfect fit for most strength-based archetypes like a warrior. I mean, come on, as I said, pretty much walking tanks. But before we hop over to Druid Land, which I know you really want to see, let's just take a look at them wearing some armor. Okay, it's time for Druid talk. So, the Alliance side have had a lot of Druid envy. Not only do they have fewer eligible Druid classes, but they don't have dinosaurs like the Zandalari. This led to a lot of speculation threads on Kul'tiran Druids as well as some mock-ups. Well, as it turns out, Blizzard have been planning Kul'tiran Druids all along, and the most recent build of the Alpha, of course, has a bear form Kul'tiran Druid. This build that we play in Alpha, though, is likely a good bit behind the actual internal development build, so I think it's definitely a stretch to say that the community had a lot to do with this being added. It's probably more just a coincidence. The lore might seem a bit funky with these guys, but it does actually make sense. So the Worgen Curse is druidic in nature, the Gilneans were messing around with druidism, and, well, the Kul'tirans were Gilnean explorers, so there's a bit of a through line there. Also, when we take a look at the Zandalari, we see a totally different type of druid, I think. So, they're known for being dinomancers, there's Dinosaur Druids in Zaldazar. It's a different flavor of druid, one that's a bit different to the Taurens or the Night Elves. While this wicker theme has druidic origins, it seems like in the way that the Zandalari have the dinosaurs, well, the Kul'tirans have the wicker. They're just different origins, perhaps using the same type of nature magic or, whatever. But, of course, when we actually look into the stuff in-game, we see all this wicker stuff going around in Drustvar, we see Kul'tiran Druid NPCs in Drustvar, and further to this, there's a group that worship the Wicker Men. So, okay, that group isn't particularly nice, but it does show a connection between the Kul'tirans and this form of Druidism. So we do know what the bear looks like, but we can model view into the existing Wicker NPCs to give you a little bit of a look at what some of the other Kul'tiran Druid concepts would feel like. I think for me it'll be particularly interesting to see what the Kul'tiran Balanced Druid is going to look like. Of course, the Zandalari Balanced Druid is a reskinned dinosaur-themed Arakoa, so yeah, it'll be cool to see what that is. And actually, finally, on the topic of the Zandalari, yeah, there's actually, there are now animations for the Zandalari feral form, so yeah, I'll show you that. It's pretty cool. So that's pretty much a look at what I think is going to be our next allied race announcement. Now, there was some other stuff that came out in today's build about the island explorations. The thing with that is there's a developer Q&A this evening, so I'd rather do my video on that content, actually having heard what Ian's got to say, because I assume he'll be talking a lot about that in the Q&A. But other than that, that's really it for the video. So thank you very much for watching, and a massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon. They have been a tremendous help over the last while, and over there's early access, behind the scenes, vlogs, AMAs, and a few other things going on. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.